অল্প একদম। আর এনপিটিএল ক্লাসে চলছে আবার। ক্লাস করে স্যার নিয়ে ফেলো। ইলেভেনের মেয়েদের কিন্তু বাবুল ফেরত এসছে, বাবুল কি প্লেইং ইলেভেনে আছে? প্লেইং ইলেভেনটা একটু বলবি? হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, ওটা এখন স্টার্ট। স্যারের জায়গায় ভালো মানে বরুণ, অনুকূল আর নারায়ণ আর গ্রিন আর বৈভব আর কার্তিক দেব। তিনটে বেশ একটা বেশ না। চিপকে অ্যাটলিস্ট চিপকে যদি একটুখানি মানে আগের দিন স্লো পিচে আমরা ভালো তো খেললাম। মানে নবদ্বীপ, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, মানে নবদ্বীপ সাইডের থেকে তো তুমি সৌরভ দুবে যে আছে তাকে খেলাও, তুমি নবদ্বীপ সাইডের জায়গায় একটা ব্যাটসম্যান খেলাও, রিঙ্কু রামবোকে দুটো দুটো ওভার দাও, সবই বেটার। কি এটা কি লেভেলের অ্যাট্রসিটি! মানে মানে একমাত্র যেন ফ্ল্যাশ অফ ব্রিলিয়ান্স দেখে থাকে আমরা ব্লেসিং মুজারা বানিয়ে দেখেছি একটা ওভারে, দুটো ওভারে ডাবল উইকেট দিয়েছিল। ফিনালে ফিনালে হ্যাঁ একটা ওভার দেখেছি স্পেসিফিকের সাথে ফার্স্ট ওভারটা। কালকে রাজস্থানে 945 লেগেছিল, 38-40 ক্রস করেছে। আচ্ছা জানি ওই লোকটা আমাদের ছিল সাকিব হোসেন। সবাই তো, হ্যাঁ সবই আমরা জানি না, আমরা এতটাই ইউজ টু যেগুলো বলা ওরা দরকার নেই, ওনার মানে কোনো রিয়াকশন একটা ইমোশনস বা রিয়াকশনও বেরোয় না, কিছুই মনে হয় না। হ্যাঁ সেও কি একটা দেখলাম জানি, কিন্তু সে কি, হ্যাঁ বাজে জোকস, কোথায় দেখবি, কোথায় হ্যাঁ মানে এটা জানতাম। মানে দেখ আমাদের সাথে মানে আরে অ্যাটলিস্ট ভালো হয়েছে এসআরএইচ আমাদের সাথে এই বোলিং ডিসপ্লেটা দেখায়নি, কারণ দ্যাট উড বি কোয়াইট বিলিভেবল, কারণ মুম্বাই ইন্ডিয়ান্স মুম্বাই একটা ম্যাচও ভালো খেলেনি এখন যে আমাদের ছাড়া। আর চেন্নাই মানে আমাদের সাথে আমরা সবকটা বটম টিমের কাছে হেরেছি তো, মানে মানে এই মুকুল চৌধুরী একটা ম্যাচও ভালো খেলেনি আমাদের সাথে ছাড়া। তাই তো হতেই পারতো যে এসআরএইচ না, আমরা এরকম বলিনি, আমরা অ্যাটলিস্ট সেদিন ব্যাটিংটা শুরু হচ্ছে মানে এসআরএইচ এর বাজে বোলিংটা যেটুকু পারি তো আমরা করতে পেরেছি, মানে একটু এক্সপ্লয়েট, যদিও আলটিমেটলি 160ই করেছি। ভাব তুই আমরা গিয়ে যদি আরে অ্যাটলিস্ট আমরা গিয়ে 945 তো দেখিনি, এগুলোই দেখ, এগুলোই গোল। কত করেছে আলটিমেটলি? কি বলছিস? দেখ নাইন, ঠিক আছে সে ওরা যাই করবো, ওরা যদি 200 করতো আমি তাও বলবো যে আমাদের ওই মানে 945 তে মাঠে গিয়ে দেখাটা না মানে ওরকম লেভেলের ধরার আমাদের এখন দেখতে লাগে, যদিও নেক্সট সিজনে আমরা সেটাও হয়তো করেই দেবো। না 945 বলে আমরা তখনই বেরিয়ে যেতাম, তখন 945 এর পরে বসে থাকতাম না। আচ্ছা আমরা 168 করেছি 10 রান বেশি, আর তাছাড়া 945 বলে আমরা তখনই বেরিয়ে যেতাম, একদিকে ভালোই হতো টাইমটা, জীবনে একটু টাইম সেভ হতো, বেরিয়ে যেতাম। না 945 বেরিয়ে দেয়, তুই পর্যন্ত র্যাম্বো উইকেট আগে তুই পর্যন্ত আটকে পড়ার পর বলছিস বেরিয়ে যায়। আমি বললাম র্যাম্বো উইকেট অব্দি দেখি, মানে তুই এবার তোকেও একটু রিয়াল হতে হচ্ছে, কোনদিন দেখিনি তোকে। থাক 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 থাক, মানে ওর থেকে বেটার কেউ নেই না, মানে আমাদের একমাত্র প্রবলেম হচ্ছে আচ্ছা আচ্ছা অ্যালেন আছে না সাইফার্ট আছে আজকে, বাকি পুরো টিমটা সেম। তাহলে যদি কিছু, হ্যাঁ তেজস্বিতাকে কেন খেলাচ্ছে না, মানে এদের কাছ থেকে এক্সপেক্ট করে কোনো ফিনালেন, আচ্ছা আচ্ছা তেজস্বী দাহিয়া, ফিনালেন, সাইফার সবাই ইম্প্যাক্ট সাবে আছে, মানে ঠিক আছে তার মানে অ্যালেনকেই খেলাবে, কারণ যদি সাইফারকে খেলাতো তাহলে তোকে কিপিং করাতো। আমি যদি সাইফার কিপার করতো তাহলে হয়তো আগের ম্যাচটা জিততে, ড্রয়াতে সুপার ওভার নিয়ে যেতে পারতাম। ছাড় এবার আমাদের এত ভালো হচ্ছে যে মানে এবার আমরা জাস্ট ছোট ছোট পজিটিভসই কাউন্ট করি, সেটাই করি অ্যাজ ইফ অন্য কিছু করি। ভালো ম্যাচ একটা দেখলাম, ফাইট দিল, লাস্ট বলে গিয়ে হারলো, কষ্ট তো খুবই হয়েছিল। ব্যাটিংটা ভালো রে, মানে সিএসকে ব্যাটিং এর ফর্মুলাটা করে নেই সেটা একটা ব্যাপার। কিন্তু ওদের ব্যাটিং এর পটেনশিয়াল আছে, ওদের বোলিংটা একটু উইক হয়তো রিলেটিভলি। রিঙ্কুর কাছ থেকে এক্সপেক্ট করে দেবে, তুই স্যামসাং আর দুবার কাছ থেকে এক্সপেক্ট করে দেবে, কারণ তারা তো আগে মানে 2 মাস আগে অব্দি দুর্ধর্ষ ফর্মে ছিল, তুই রিঙ্কুর কাছ থেকে জিনিসটা এক্সপেক্ট করলে আর কি করবে? ফিনালের কাছে একটা 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 মানুষের কাছ থেকে এক্সপেক্ট করতে পারবে। ওদের টিমে মাল্টিপল লোকজন আছে ঠিকঠাক, দেবাল ব্রেভিসও ফেরত চলে এসেছে আজকে অ্যাজ অথরিটি। হ্যাঁ, আমাদের দেশের বাবা রে, আমি দেবাল ব্রেভিসের ওভারটা যদি কোনোদিন ভুলেছি। ওই ওভার। হ্যাঁ, সত্যি কাটা তো। আমি ক্লাস নিই, সাবধান থাকিস, টাটা। কি বলিস? টাটা, টাটা। আচ্ছা। This is the final week of structure analysis TA session. The course is taught by Professor Amit Shah. I am a course teaching assistant. I am a PhD student at the at ISC Bangalore. I start with a brief recap. In phase one, we focused on the analysis of determinate structures. First week, we looked at types of internal forces: bending moment, shear force, axial force, and torsional moment. There are some common classification of elements like beams, frames, and trusses, and boundary conditions like hinge, roller, and fixed supports. Then structural, the concept of structural indeterminacy, or which is the quantification of redundancy. It is of two types: static or kinematic indeterminacy, which we have seen in phase two in the last 6 weeks, and bending moment and shear force diagram, BMD or SFT, how the variation of this force and this moment varies along the length of the beam. And it is important because it is the force, or it gives us the force or stress type response at every section in the beam, which we will need for design. Such structural analysis is a prerequisite to design. Week 2 was about idealization of trusses from real world trusses. Then stability of trusses, there are some criteria like all the supports cannot be parallel, all the supports cannot be concurrent, concurrent or yes, so those will lead to instability. And solving member forces and truss using method of joints and method of sections. So since trusses are made up of two force members, all the members can only undergo tension or compression, so axial force. So that is the, if we want to find out the force or stress type response in truss, we need to find out the member force along with its nature, like whether it's tension or compression in each of the members. So this is what method of sections or method of joints will help us do. Week 3, week 4, and week 5, we shifted to the other type of response, which is displacement or strain type response. Principle of virtual work, unit load method to determine nodal displacements in truss. And week 4, deflection of beam. So just like we draw the BMD or SFT on the length of the beam, we also draw the deflection profile. There is elastic curve equation method, which starts from the governing differential equation of the beam, which is a 2-degree equation. So when we integrate it twice, we get y as a function of x. Y is the vertical displacement, and we have two constants of integration, since the original equation is d2 by dx square. So we have to integrate it twice. There are two constants of integration, and to find those, we use the boundary conditions. And moment area method and conjugate beam method are shortcut methods. Elastic curve equation method is from the first principle. It gives us the entire deflection profile. Moment area and conjugate beam methods are shorter, easier methods where we have to choose 2 points. And in moment area method, we have to choose 2 points, understanding what is the quantity of interest and what are the information we have from boundary conditions. And in conjugate beam method, we replace for every real beam there exists a conjugate beam, and the bending moment and shear force at every section of the conjugate beam corresponds to the slope and deflection and slope of the real beam. So that is how we can find out the slope or deflection at any section, any given section. Week 6, we studied influence line diagram or ILD, the Muller-Breslau principle, which gives qualitative ILD, and then we saw how to find quantitatively. And once we have the ILD, we can get the absolute maximum bending moment and shear force under point loads, series of point loads, and uniformly distributed loads greater than or lesser than the span. And phase 2 was about analysis of indeterminate structures, review of structural indeterminacy, introduction to force and displacement methods, Maxwell-Betty's reciprocal theorem, method of consistent deformation, which is a force method, and we applied it to a degree of kinematic indeterminacy, which we have been looking at in the past 3 weeks, displacement methods. So week 7, 8, and 9 was about method of consistent deformation applied to beams, trusses, and frames. The concepts remain the same, but the application is a little different. Week 10, we looked at slope deflection method, then moment distribution method, and today we will look at the stiffness matrix method. Now, structural indeterminacy. Structures that cannot be analyzed using statics or equations of equilibrium only are called indeterminate structures. They require other material properties to be solved. The degree of indeterminacy is equal to the number of unknown reactions minus the number of equations of equilibrium. External indeterminacy is the total number of independent support reactions minus total number of available equations of static equilibrium. Internal indeterminacy is total number of internal reactions minus available equations of equilibrium. And degree of structural indeterminacy is external indeterminacy plus internal indeterminacy. These are some examples. This is a cantilever beam. It has three reactions at the fixed support and it has three equations of equilibrium since this is in the 2D plane. Sigma fx equal to 0, sigma fy equal to 0, sigma mz equal to 0. So the structure degree of structural indeterminacy is 0 here. So this is a determinate structure. It does not have any redundancy. So if any one of the support reactions fail, the structure will collapse. This is a propped cantilever. It has three unknown support reactions at A, but it also has an additional vertical support reaction at C. So this is 1 degree indeterminate. This is a portal frame with two fixed ends. So there are six support reactions and three equations. Whether it is a frame or a beam or a truss, there are three equations of equilibrium always. So this is 3 degree indeterminate, and this is a portal frame with two hinge supports. So this is 1 degree indeterminate. Now, force or compatibility or flexibility methods. Redundant forces are chosen as unknowns, and additional equations are obtained by considering the geometric conditions imposed on the deformations of the structure, which are also called compatibility conditions. Method of consistent deformation, virtual work or unit load method, strain energy method, method of minimum potential energy, flexibility matrix method. Displacement or equilibrium or stiffness type methods. These are the other side of the coin, you can say. Displacements of joints are taken as unknowns and equilibrium equations are expressed in terms of these displacements and internal loads. These equations are solved to give the actual joint displacements from which redundant forces can be calculated. Slope deflection, moment distribution, stiffness matrix method. So this is a summary of differences between the two methods in principle. In force methods, unknowns are taken as internal member forces or reactions. In displacement method, unknowns are taken as joint displacements. To find unknowns in force methods, we use compatibility conditions, and to find unknowns in displacement method, we use joint equilibrium conditions. And in force methods, the number of equations needed is degree of static indeterminacy. In displacement methods, the number of equations needed is degree of kinematic indeterminacy. So force method is suitable when degree of static indeterminacy is lesser than degree of kinematic indeterminacy, and displacement methods are suitable when ds is greater than dk. Kinematic indeterminacy. Degree of kinematic indeterminacy refers to the total number of independent available degrees of freedom at all the joints. The degree of kinematic indeterminacy may be defined as the total number of unrestrained displacement components at all joints. So whether the type of joint is a truss joint or rigid joint affects this result, because in a truss joint, uh, they are all pinned, and to ensure that they are all two force members, only x direction force and y direction force is transferred. No moment is transferred. So there are 2 degrees of freedom available in a 2D truss joint, delta x and delta y. In a 3D truss joint, only translational modes of displacement are available, no rotations. But there are 3 degrees of freedom, delta x, delta y, and delta z. For a 2D rigid joint, 3 degrees of freedom are available, delta x, delta y, and sigma z, theta z. And for 3D rigid joint, all 6 degrees of freedom possible. In the 3D space, there are around us in the practical world, there are 6 degrees of freedom possible. X direction displacement, Y direction displacement, Z direction displacement. These are called translation, and there are three senses of rotation. So degree of kinematic indeterminacy for plane truss, space truss, rigid jointed plane frame, and rigid jointed space frame have some formulas relating to the number of joints and the number of equations, number of support reactions. In rigid joints, some of the members are actually rigid. Then we have to subtract some degrees of freedom, because the kinematic degree of freedom is the freedom to move, right? So if there are actually rigid members, then 1 degree of freedom will be subtracted. One kinematic degree of freedom will be subtracted because there is a movement restraint. Determine the kinematic indeterminacy of the given cantilever if beam is axially flexible and if beam is axially rigid. J is 2 and RE is 3. dk in case of axially flexible is 3j minus RE, 3 in 6 minus 3, 3. And if beam is axially rigid, we have to subtract m dash dash, which is 1, since there is one axially rigid member, so dk is 2. Determine degree of kinematic indeterminacy for this simply supported beam, like there are two hinge supports, and also find dk when member is rigid. J is 2, RE is 4, dk is 3j minus RE, 2, theta A and theta B. If we consider AB as axially rigid, then dk will be the same as previous case, because axial displacement is already restrained by the reaction. So dk remains 2. So we do not subtract the m dash dash blindly. We have to look at the structural arrangement and then take a call. Then there are special cases if there are hybrid joints or internal hinges. Then this RR quantity, which we have also encountered in static indeterminacy, it is added here in structure. In static indeterminacy, it was subtracted. RR is sigma m dash minus one, and m dash is the number of members meeting at a hybrid joint. So these are some examples which we have looked at before. So we'll move on to the stiffness matrix method. Stiffness is the ability of the structure or material to limit deformation subject to an action. On a stress strain diagram, it is represented as a slope. Stiffness is a slope like stress strain diagram. It is a graphical slope. This is not the rotation related slope. If there is a at in every point in a 2D graph, there is a slope which is the delta y dx dy by dx at that point. So for a stiffness for a stress strain curve, at every point we can find the slope which is equal to the stiffness at that point. Stiffness is most pertinent to the serviceability of a structure such as deflection, cracking, and vibration because these are all related to the displacement kind of things. This is the stiffness of a spring. Stiffness is F by delta, where F is the applied force and delta is the the elongation or the shortening before it reaches equilibrium. Stiffness matrix is a key concept in structural engineering that quantifies how a structure deforms under load. It is a square matrix that represents the interrelation of forces at the nodes, defining the rigidity of a structural element in relation to its displacement. Properties of stiffness matrix. Order of stiffness matrix corresponds to total degrees of freedom. This is why we need the kinematic degrees of like the kinematic indeterminacy is required here. Singular stiffness matrix means structure is unconstrained and rigid body motion. Each column of stiffness matrix is an equilibrium set of nodal force required to produce unit respective degree of freedom. Symmetric stiffness matrix shows force is directly proportional to displacement, which happens here everywhere. Diagonal terms of the matrix are always positive, that is, force directed in say left direction cannot produce a displacement in right direction. Diagonal terms will be zero or negative only if the structure is unstable, which is not allowed. Now, the procedure of analysis using stiffness matrix method. Step 1. Determine the degree of kinematic indeterminacy, neglecting axial deformations. Identify independent joint displacement, delta 1, delta 2, up to delta n. And these displacements also includes the rotation. So, it is translation and rotation both are considered under the bracket displacement. Step 2 is assign one coordinate in the direction of each unknown displacement of joint. Develop stiffness matrix and find inverse of matrix. Step 3 is remove displacements in the direction of coordinates and obtain locked structure. So this means I am removing the boundary conditions. Find the forces developed in the direction of ascent coordinates due to given loading in the locked structure. So PL, P1L, P2L up to PNL are forces developed in the direction of coordinate. So the displacement, all of these forces have a corresponding displacement, so delta 1, delta 2 to delta n. So we can find it by the inverse of the stiffness matrix. Since the equation is delta is equal to K inverse PL minus PL. So we'll look at some examples. Using stiffness matrix methods, analyze the beam here, and we can use we have a stiffness matrix for truss, we have stiffness matrix for beams and stiffness matrix for frames. Here this is doing it from the first principle, but in general we have some stiffness matrices available. So this is a beam stiffness matrix. It looks like something like this. It is a 6 by 6 matrix since, sorry, it is a 4 by 4 matrix since a beam has 4 degrees of freedom. Like one end there will be some displacement and some rotation, and then the other end there will be transverse displacement and rotation, because ideally in a beam axial forces are not allowed. So this is a 4 by 4 matrix. It will look like this, and the equation here is shear force at the first end, moment at the first end, bending moment at the first node, and then V2 is shear force at the second node, and M2 is the bending moment at the second node, is equal to this stiffness matrix. E is the Young's modulus, which is a material property. I and L are geometric properties. I is the moment of inertia. L is the length of the member, and this is the displacement vector, where V1 is the transverse displacement at the first node, theta 1 is the is the rotation at the first node. So you can see that this is corresponding. Shear force at first node and transverse displacement in first node are corresponding to each other. Like the force component is the shear force and the displacement component is the transverse displacement. And the bending moment at the first node corresponds to the rotation at the first node. So M1 corresponds to theta 1. Similarly, V2 corresponds to the translational displacement at the second node, and theta 2 corresponds to the rotation at the second node. So this is a basic equation which we saw just now. This one. So this is how like n in beam will be 4, so it will be a 4 by, this is a 4 cross 1 vector, which means that there are 4 rows and 1 column. Then the stiffness matrix will be 4 cross 4, and then the force will again be 4 cross 1. So we'll look at an example. Here there is a beam, one A, B, and C. So there are three joints. We know that we only consider the support reactions as joints, support reaction or internal hinges as joints. So A is a joint, B is a joint, C is a joint. Now we'll find out the degree of kinematic indeterminacy, dk. 3j minus re minus m double dash, and here it's assume that these are actually rigid members. So j is 3, re is 5, and m dash double dash is 2. So dk is 2. So what are, looking at the structure, you can say what are the free degrees of freedom. One is rotation at A, another is rotation at B. Rotation and translation at C are both restrained, and since there are rollers at A and B, the transverse displacement at A and B are also restrained. We have seen this in slope deflection method. This is how we find out the number of free degrees of freedom. So A can rotate, B can rotate. So theta A and theta B are what we want to find out. So we'll get the stiffness matrix for AB, and then we'll get the stiffness matrix for BC, and then we will combine them. So for the stiffness matrix, give unit displacement in the direction of coordinate 1. Here coordinate 1 is theta A. So we give theta A is 1 and theta B has to be 0. So we, just like the slope deflection method, we assume a fixed end here, and K11 is 4 EI by 3 since the length is 3, and K21 is 2 EI by 3, which is the carryover moment. And we will give a unit displacement in the direction of coordinate 2. But that means I'll say theta B is 1 and theta A is 0. So I will fix this end, because there was already a roller, and then now if I restrain the moment, like if rotation, if I say theta A is 0, then it effectively becomes a fixed support. So in that case, K12 is 2 EI by 3 and K22 is, now in K22 we are adding both from this end and this end. We know that when two members or more than one member meet at a joint, to find the overall rotational stiffness, we add all the stiffnesses of the members meeting. So K22 is 4 EI by 3 plus 4 EI by 4, because this length is 4. So we get 7 by 3 EI. So we have assembled the stiffness matrix. It K11, then K21, no sorry, K11, K12, then K21, K22. That is how we assemble. So we have it. EI by 3 you can take common, and we'll get 4227, a matrix like this. Now we find out the inverse of this matrix, and the EI comes to the denominator. And now let P1L and P2L be the forces, which here will be moment, since the rotation is a, like the, since the displacements are rotation, the force we are going to get are also going to be moments, because they correspond to each other. So let P1L and P2L be forces in the coordinate directions due to the given load in the loft structure. So MAB is minus 10 by 10 into 3 by 8, and MBA, these are the fixed end moments that we are finding. Yes. Okay, okay. I'll just finish cover this example and then see. MBA bar is 3.75. MBC bar is we know this is a WL square by WL square by 12 is a fixed end moment, so we get all the fixed end moments, and then we put this in the formula and we get the delta 1 and delta 2, and then we have the formula of this of the Stokes deflection method, and we have already seen this formula. Putting that, we get the MAB and MBA magnitudes, and then we draw the bending moment diagram just like before. Like we draw one for the fixed end moments, and then we draw for the applied loading. So this is a triangular load, this is a parabolic load, and this is a straight line joining up to 6.8, and then a straight line joining up to 8.5. Okay, the stiffness matrix method, I guess is not very important for this course because it is just taught very shortly as an afterthought. But if you intend to pursue structural engineering later on, you might need it because it stiffness matrix method forms the basis of finite element method, which is a class of methods which is absolutely essential for structural analysis at a higher level. Okay, I'll see the find out the kinematic indeterminacy of the following frame. It is assumed that members are actually rigid. So there is no displacement available at this node. There is no displacement available at this node. We assume that this can this can have three, this can have three, and this can have three, like x displacement, y displacement, and rotation. Similarly, so but we have to subtract something because we will have some equations like the net displacement in, like, if this is x1, this is x2, if this is x2 x1 y1 and x2 y2, then we know that the elongation along this line has to be 0. So I will have one equation that x1, like I'm assuming this angle is theta, so x1 cos theta plus y2 sin theta will be equal to x, sorry, huh, x1 cos theta plus y1 sin theta will be equal to, is, if this is alpha inclination, this is alpha inclination, it, it will be x2 cos alpha plus y2 cos sin alpha. So these will be equal, so I get one equation, and similarly from these two I will get one equation. So I think it should be 7. The option 7 is not here. They're saying it's 9.
Ma'am, its answer is 6.
Answer is 6. Okay.
But I don't know how 6 came.
So 3 free here, 3 free here, and 3 free here. They did not think a little. Oh, okay, okay, okay. I'm sorry. Since I considered this member to be actually rigid and this to be actually rigid, so I got two equations from there. But these two are also actually rigid. So see, if this is actually rigid, at this point there can be no y displacement. At this point also there can be no y displacement. Okay,
Okay.
so there will be only x here and theta, and there will be some x here and theta, and assuming there can be all three here, but then there will be one condition I have to implement is that there will be no net axial elongation in either of these two members, and
Okay.
that will give one equation, I think, because they will be interlinked. Wait, I will x1 x.
Ma'am, there are 5 joints and rotations are allowed in all the 5 joints.
Oh, these also have rotation, no? Yes, yes.
Uh,
So,
but there are three additional movements of horizontal.
hmm.
Uh, then 5 and plus 3.
Okay, let me just think for 1 second. If there are 5 joints, there will be 15. There are 15 possible degrees of freedom. Then these two get separated, these two get separated. So 4 get separated, I have 11 possible modes. Then,
Yeah.
oh, okay, then you just subtract the number of actually rigid members. I was thinking it in a too complicated manner. Okay, look at this formula.
But 11 minus 4 it comes out to be 7
11
only,
minus.
no?
Okay, yes. Let me write it down 1 second. Like this.
Take for Cam Green here. He's getting some movement in the air. William has a nice brace going across the ground. Same position. He to reach out for that. There's that man at short third. Actually, that little bit of luck. Another day, this would have gone straight to that. Either at short third. Closer to that off stump. He's getting that movement. It was a good shot. There was a little bit of swing, and it was a good stop at middle. The line there was much tighter. Rabani there on the bench. Expect Finn Allen to come in as the sub impact player. How destructive he's been at the top of the order for a period of time now, for not only New Zealand but around the world. He was brilliant in Australia for the Big Bash champions, Perth Scorchers. And the best of starts this IPL, but it's only a matter of time. He's able to play to keep down, much like Sanju Samson. It's easy to forget his first 3 games, he only got 22 runs. Amazing what 100 can do. That will be Finn Allen later tonight.
I don't know. All my calculation and logic says that answer should be 7. One, two, three, four, five, 6.
But NPTEL says its answer is
I mean,
6.
I don't know why I can't figure it out.
Ma'am, answer is 6, ma'am.
What? Why is it 6? Can you explain?
Wait, ma'am, wait.
It's easier when you're coming off 100 and having spent time in the middle like you did against DC, but he was just being decisive right from the word go. Sometimes that's all it takes. Basic mix of power play, half a secondary act. Better to be over decisive than to be indecisive. All that is work the other night. Magnificent knocks and pure ball striker. The best going around in great form. So big plus for CSK moving forward. 10 off the second over, 24 without blocks.
Are you checking the question, Akash? Yeah, are there any other doubts? This one, I'm sorry, I can't. I mean, I feel it should be 7. Maybe so there's something I'm missing.
I am also solving, ma'am. Wait for.
Okay.
Okay, you continue, ma'am. Okay, continue.
Yeah, it's okay. I mean, I'm done with the class. If there are any questions,
Okay.
sorry, sorry.
Late, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
I'm joined late.
Yeah.
So please explain first one or two slides. Please explain the matrix method only. 2 or 3.
Yes.
Only
Only how to draw the stiffness matrix movement. How to
only
see
only
before you joined. Mostly it was a revision of the previous classes. So if you can specify which part you want to know.
uh 1 minute, ma'am. I joined the class phase. Right. Point. Or truss and frame, ma'am.
Truss and frame, I didn't show any example of truss and frame, but I can show you that actually, see, this is a. Did you see this when I was explaining this part?
Yes, yes, yes.
So I'll show the truss and beam stiffness matrix. A 2D truss. Okay, so
Differentiate, ma'am, please.
what?
Differentiate.
Differentiate between the two matrices.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, so now it depends. It completely depends on what are the degrees of freedom we have. So in a beam element, we don't allow axial displacement. We assume that there are transverse displacement. So there is some transverse displacement here, some transverse displacement here, rotation here. So it is
Okay.
a 4 by 4 matrix which corresponds to shear force bending moment in the force vector, and displacement, rotation in the displacement vector, right? You
Yes.
understand that part. So but what
Yes.
in a truss, what do we do? Imagine, go back to the uh, when we were solving using method of joints or method of sections. It's a truss element. We assume that this has an x component, a y component, this is an x component and a y component. So
Yes.
here the displacement matrix, the displacement vector will be x1 y1 x2 y2, and similarly
Yes.
there will be f1 f, like there will be a force in this direction.
And
Yes.
ma'am, one thing another. That is local coordinate system and global coordinate system. What differentiate between them?
Yes.
Because the third says that x dash and only x and y direction,
Yes.
and x dash and y dash. So
Yes,
please,
actually, you know what? If you take a trust like this, just forget all the trust. You just take a trust member. It
yes,
has an x1 and a y1 and an x2 and a y2. But we also know that the ultimate displacement will be along the length of this member only, right? So this
yes,
x1 and x2 at this end are not independent. They are actually related. We know. And the x2 and y2 are also related. So there's basically one net in displacement at this node and one net displacement at this node when you see only one member. But now when you assemble the truss properly, when you see a proper structure where there are multiple things, like there are multiple members, then you cannot pursue it member by member. So the local axis of the truss member is this, but we convert the entire structure into a global axis, which may be, this is x axis, this is y axis. So we split the displacement, though I know that the displacement is going to be along this. For a member like this, I know that the displacement is going to be along this. I split those nodal displacements into x and y. So that is why in a global system we have 4 degrees of freedom for a truss: x1, y1, x2, y2.
Okay. Okay.
And the
That this.
transformation from the local to global citrus matrix is due to rotation. Like if it depends on the angle of the member of orientation with x-axis or y-axis. Yes.
Ma'am, I have sent you another picture. Can you please specify the decay of this picture? Just I have emailed you.
Okay, just one. Okay, fine. You should put this. This should work when you put it in the formula, right? Since this is an horizontal, like just a beam. What is the formula? What is your problem? Like what answer are you getting?
NPTEL says his answer is 5 and 6.
And what do you think? Did you solve that?
But I did not get it from the formula.
Oh, you didn't get it from the formula. Okay, the formula is 3 joints. So see 3 9 minus 4. Okay, so this RR here will be 1 since there are 2 members which are meeting at the hybrid joint.
Bilkul, yeah,
There
right.
are 3 joints, so 3J is 9. Then you subtract the number of reactions, which is 4. There are 4, like 2 from here, 2 from here, so you get 5. Then the RR you are adding, which is 1. And due to the axial rigidity, you have to subtract only 1 degree of freedom, which is the x here, because the x1 and x3 are already restrained. So you have to subtract the only x2 degree of freedom. So it effectively becomes 3 into 3 minus 4 minus 1 plus 1. Due to axial rigidity, you get a minus 1, and due to hybrid joint, you get a plus 1. Do you get it?
Yeah. But minor is 2, na?
What?
But for actual rigidity, you have to set up the number of members, na?
You have to subtract the number of members if those members were completely free to move horizontally. But here, if you since this is a simply support, this is a end. The both the ends are like if this was a roller, then you would subtract 2 because it would be completely free to actually rotate, actually elongate. But x1 and x3 are both restrained here. So you see that the only coordinate we only actual coordinate we can control here is x2, which we have to restrain. Like it is like this example. I showed an example like this. This one here, apparently this is an actually rigid member. You have to apparently subtract 1, but A and B are already hinge support, so the x displacements are already restrained, right? So you cannot, there is no point in subtracting that. You cannot subtract that because A and B was not free to elongate anyway. So whether AB is actually rigid here or actually flexible, the degree of freedom, the kinematic indeterminacy remains the same. Did you get that?
Yeah.
And the second question also similarly, this is already restrained, this is already restrained, so you have to subtract 2, not 3, I think. Is the answer coming then? And Akash, did I answer your question about the truss matrix? Do you have any other questions?
हाँ मैम, you take please give me some concept of that matrix method, ma'am. I don't get the concept of direct matrix method, stiffness direct matrix method.
For trusses specifically or overall?
Matrix method.
No, I mean you mean the matrix of truss or overall the matrix method?
Matrix of truss or matrix of frame.
Okay, so see, firstly, you are probably not going to be asked questions on this. Okay, so this is an advanced topic and it lays the basics for the finite element method for higher degrees, higher courses of structural analysis. If you
Yes.
pursue structural engineering as MTech or PhD, which I am doing, but If you just want the notion of it, see, one thing is understanding. You can just follow the formula and do it. You will have books where they will give the matrix. You will invert the matrix, multiply it by the forces, you will get the displacement. That is just following the rules. You can do that. That is not difficult. That is just a step by step thing which you will have in any worked out example. But if you want
Yes.
notion, the concept means stiffness is the property of a material. There are two aspects to a material. One is strength, one is stiffness. Strength
Yes.
is that, suppose I have a material, I'm pulling it. I have a cylinder, I'm pulling it. Like I'm giving it a tension, and it fails at some point. I put a tension of 10 kilonewton, it failed. That means it failed in strength. That means the ultimate, like my whatever stress I applied by applying 10 kilonewton load exceeded the ultimate capacity strength, ultimate strength of the material. So that is a strength failure. And at the
Yes.
same time, another thing is happening is when I'm pulling it, it is getting elongated, right? So there is another property of the material which is resisting the displacement. That has nothing to do with the ultimate failure when it will collapse. So the stiffer the material is, the less it will displace corresponding to an equal load applied. That is what
That
happens to spring, right? A
Ma'am,
spring-
just like that, stress is directly proportional to strain. In this case, stiffness is directly proportional to displacement.
exactly. Stress and strain and stress, strain, force displacements are like very
Obey
analogous.
obey Hooke laws. That's right. This you added the stiffness, so you got the maximum displacement, less deflection or displacement, and
Yes,
you got steeper material. Then deflection is less or a displacement is
exactly.
less.
That is the concept in a simple way. Now when I'm doing a stiffness, I'm applying the stiff. I want the concept of stiffness for a beam or a frame or a truss element. I have to see what is the force and what is the corresponding. Just one second. Baba, hello. Baba, আমি ইনফিরিয়র ক্লাসটা নিচ্ছি, আমি তোমাকে একটু পরে ফোন করছি, টাটা। Sorry. So in a when I'm just applying tension to a cylinder, or when I'm just applying a load to a spring, it is easy to understand what is the force and what is the displacement. But
Yes.
when it is a beam element, what is the force and what is the displacement? So we go to that is how the kinematic indeterminacy comes. I go to each degree of freedom. I look at this end of this node. I see that it has a translational degree of freedom. So the force I apply here is a shear force, not applied. The force that is going to make this displace here is the shear force, and the corresponding displacement component is V1. Okay. Then
Okay.
this node also has another degree of freedom, which is the rotation. So the bending moment at this point and the rotation at this point are the force and the displacement components here. You get that?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So that is what you will see, that in any stiffness matrix, of a beam or a frame or a truss or a compound beam, whatever, like there are multiple beam elements joining together, you will see that each row, if you see in this broader equation, the broader equation is force is stiffness into delta. F equal to k delta, we know in one dimension, which we said for a spring. We expand that, we have a force vector, a stiffness matrix, and a displacement vector,
Yes.
which is
K unknown and K unknown and K unknown.
yes, k
Here
is
K
known, f is
and K
known, displacement is unknown.
displacement unknown.
That is so we have to invert the matrix. We have to find the delta. We have to do k inverse into f. But for each row, if you see, for each row, you will see that there is a force, there is a displacement component corresponding to that, and you will see all the stiffness components opposing that. So let's go to the beam stiffness matrix again, because it is the simplest to understand.
Yes.
So there are, for V1, in a stiffness matrix method, it's in a stiffness multiplication, it's like 12. This first term will get multiplied to this first term. The second term will get multiplied to the second term. Like that. You know that, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So V1 is uh, the okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
and these also, Shaw sir says this is also constant values, ma'am. 12 6 minus 12 6
Yes. What did you
This these values 12 by L cube 6 by L square
Yes.
change for the beam case and change for the frame case.
Yes.
or it a constant?
No,
Or it a constant?
they don't change. Like they remain the same. Okay, beam and frame stiffness matrix. If I see for a beam, okay, they change because there is a rotation considered here. The see, in beams are always considered to be aligned along the x-axis. So in beam there is no theta involved, but in frames there is, like, frames and trusses, they have inclined members, right? So there will be a rotation, but ultimately the stiffness property does not change. For a beam, I have two degrees of freedom, which is translation and rotation, transverse displacement and rotation. Frame has 3 degrees of freedom: axial, transverse, and rotation. So the axial part is taken from the truss, and the shear and the rotation part, the transverse displacement and the rotation part, is taken from the beam. That is how there is a long derivation, and there is no point in going into the derivation because it has a lot of matrix multiplication, lot of calculations. But the concept is that that's the same property of a beam that resists transverse displacement and rotation, is that same property which resists transverse displacement and rotation in an inclined frame member as well. But a frame member can also undergo axial displacement. That is why the property in a truss member which resists axial displacement is also superimposed onto the frame. So frame stiffness matrix is 6 by 6, where
Yeah.
one component is due to the truss and one component is due to the beam.
Okay. Okay.
Ma'am, I have another question.
Yes.
You say 6 multiplied by 2 minus 4 plus 1. It's come out to be 3. But answer is 5, na?
This one,
First one.
first one, 3,
You're saying, Hmm.
9 minus 4, answer is 5, right?
Yeah.
9 minus 4 minus 1 plus 1, that is 5 only. There are 3 ones, so 3 into 3 is 9.
शरीर के पास आखिरी में मैंने दिखाई मिला तो क्या यूज कर प्रयास कर
3, I'll write the formula: 3 into 3
रही
minus 4, which is the reactions, plus 1 minus 1. That is 5, right?
it's a right pretty far.
Hmm. But degree of freedom of the hinge is 4, na?
Huh?
Degree of freedom for hinge is 4.
That is because if you apply it blindly, it will seem 4, but the both ends are already A and C. Those two ends are already like the x displacement in both this end and this end are both already restrained. So the only free x direction displacement which we have, which we can restrain, is that hinge point. So that is just one. So here the hinge will have 3 free. Like you will have to, like you are approaching it in a different way. But the formula that you are applying, you are doing it blindly, assuming that the overall elongation is not already restrained. If I have a beam, whatever be in the center, whatever be the internal hinges, if the ultimately the two ends are both hinged or fixed, the overall elongation is anywhere not allowed. So the only x direction displacement I need to restrain is the internal hinge point, because that is where the two members end. So that is why a mismatch of 1 is coming, I guess, for you. If you look at this example, do you understand this example?
Minus 4. Yes.
So yes, so if you apply the formula blindly here, you would get dk equal to 1, because you will subtract, since this is actually rigid, you are going to subtract an actually rigid again here. But here A and B were already restrained, so the displacement was already restrained. In that case, you don't subtract anything additionally. So you have to look at the structure actually and then decide, not just blindly apply the formula.
No, it's a clear. This question has a clear answer, na? Rotation at A and rotation at B.
Yes.
Degree of freedom. But
Okay, you
but I have
want the visualization there? Okay.
मतलब both the support have rotations.
Yes.
2 for one rotation, 1 degree of freedom for each rotations, and another three मतलब as such a degree of freedom for the hinge is 4. But actually this means कि vertically this cannot move.
Vertically this can move, right? Why will it not move for 1 second?
If this
Is this a stable structure at all? 1 second.
but the answer is I am not getting the answer by applying the formula.
I just wrote the formula here. Did you see in the chat box? Here R, that RR thing is 1. M dash is 1. J is 3. And number of support reactions is 4. If you apply that, you are getting 5 here.
Yeah.
Okay, are there any other questions?
Can you please explain the second question in this row?
This one? Oh, sorry. This one?
Yes, ma'am.
1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 joints. So 12. Then there are 6 support reactions, so it becomes 6. And then answer is 4.
Answer is 6.
Done. Okay, answer is 6. Okay, yes. 1 second. 4 into 3 minus 6 minus okay, so here I'll write J is 4, RE is 6, the RR from internal number of RR from the internal hinge thing is 1 plus 1, since there are two internal hinges and at each 2 members are meeting, so it's 1 from this internal hinge, 1 from this internal hinge, right?
Okay.
And again the M dash, the number of degrees of freedom I am restraining due to this inextensible is I have to restrain the x displacement in this, and I have to restrain the x displacement in this. Again, I cannot take it 3, I have to take it 2, because these two ends are already fixed. So I have to take 1 from 1 here and 1 here. So I have to subtract 2 here. So the formula becomes 4 into 3 minus 6 plus 2 minus 2. It is coming out to be 6.
12, 6.
Yes. Any other question?
No, thank you, ma'am.
Okay. I'll end the class. Thank you for attending.
Ma'am, hall
Yes.
ticket release or not?
What?
Hall ticket release for examination or not?
I don't know that. Any question about the examination, you can please mail the NPTEL mail ID.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
best of luck for the exams. Thank you for attending.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.